Max Weber started with his interest in history. So Weber's earlier career was dominated by his interest in history. Now, what he tried to do was make a connection between sociology and history. So at that time, we could see that there was a debate over the issue of the relationship between history and science. So do we think that the history is that kind of subject which could be called as a science, or could we call it as something which is empirical? Empirical implies that something which you can verify. Also, it implies something which is repeatable. But that partly it might be true when we say that history is composed of those events which have happened in the past, and those events might be empirical in the sense that those are recorded, anybody could see and anybody could come to find those out. But then can we make generalizations out of those? So there can be no generalization at the empirical level. I think that's what we see. So there was some kind of debate between research and theory. Can we make generalizations out of those? Maybe those were the unique events. Those might be considered as the whims of the people. Those might be considered as happening something around unique kind of personalities. So there is some kind of, let's say, division, or the two, let's say, poles or two extreme kind of situation, which is considered as positivists and subjectivists. So positivists thought that history was composed of general laws, whereas subjectivists reduced history to some kind of, let's say, idiosyncratic or whimsical kind of actions or events. And these events may never happen again. And so the question of repeatability is missing in that kind of situation. So positivists thought that history could be like a natural science. The subjectivists saw the two are radically different. So that's where I think debate comes. So history is an analysis of empirical events, and maybe there is, on the basis of that empirical events, it may not be possible to make generalizations, or we may not be able to develop a theory. So history, as we see, that history is oriented to the causal analysis and explanation of individual actions which have happened in the past. Actions, the structures, and the personalities, and those might be of cultural significance. So what he thought was that the sociologists must separate the empirical world from the conceptual universe that they construct. So the idea is that he is trying to ask the sociologists to come up with the let's say, development of concepts, the ideal types of concepts. Ideals might be away from realities, but he is focusing on those ideal concepts. And those ideal concepts might be used for the interpretation of the historical events. So sociology seeks to formulate these ideal concepts and generalize uniformities of empirical processes. That's how he tries to connect sociology and history. So Weber's sociology was oriented to the development of clear, let's say, concepts, ideal kind of types, so that he could perform a causal analysis of historical events. So the aim is to pick individual concrete events occurring in the past or which are historical reality. So find out the reasons for those, causes for those through the study of precise empirical data. But then he said it needs some language, some jargon, some concepts, some terminology. And there he talks about the development of ideal types, which should be, let's say, one of the jobs of sociologists. So on the basis of these empirical events and these ideal type of concepts might be this might help in making generalizations and call it as historical sociology. Historical sociology was appropriately concerned with both individuality and generality. Individuality in the sense that historical events might be the unique events. Those may not be repeatable. We may not be able to conduct, let's say, experiments on them. But then those are there. But for the explanation of those things, sociology should come up with general kind of concepts, ideal kind of concepts. Those concepts can be used in the study of the particular individuals, particular personalities, particular events or societies. And therefore, his opinion was that sociology provides the general concepts, the ideal concepts, and when we try to apply them to historical kind of situations, there might be deviations from those ideal kind of things. So there could be variations from there too. So focus could be on the variabilities as well as uniformities. So that is how he looked at the concept of historical sociology.